feel, okay, come on, New Hampshire, get with it. When I say feel, you say burn. Feel, 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 feel. All right, New Hampshire. We tried it. So glad to be here with you. I've been to this state several times. Now, New Hampshire, nothing, it's all on you. Nothing too heavy. We know that all that we love is on the line. That's it and that's all. So it is so vitally important that at this particular time in our nation's history that we have, as Dr. Cornel West calls Senator Sanders, a true long-distance runner for justice. Hello, somebody. Now, we can no longer tolerate half measure. We need somebody who's willing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us God. And what we have in Senator Sanders is somebody who is willing to take on the system. Somebody who understands that in this country for far too long, we have bailed out Wall Street, but we're not willing to put a down payment on Main Street. Hello, somebody. Now, we got some candidates that talk about being practical. Well, where I come from, if you are among the working poor in this country, you don't need somebody that's going to be practical. You need somebody who's going to stand up for you. Hello, somebody. See, people who are already established, they have the luxury to talk about practicality. But if you are a single mama in this country, practicality doesn't work. If you are among the working poor in this country, practicality doesn't work. If you are somebody that cares about the environment, practicality doesn't work. If you suffer the ravages of an unjust legal system that sees black men as somehow more criminal, practicality doesn't work. If you are a woman in this country and you want your whole damn dollar, practicality doesn't work. So we have a leader on our hands, and Senator Bernard Sanders is that one. Now, in the 1930s, for my history students in the room, we know that President FDR had to battle with those same type of elites. And he said to them, I welcome your hatred. He also talked about the fact that we need in this country, in the 1944 Economic Bill of Rights, what people in this nation deserve and have a right to: education. If you are a retiree, to be able to retire with dignity. Hello, somebody. To be able to have health care. Hello, somebody. Go to school. Hello, somebody. That's the kind of candidate that Senator Sanders is. And then in 1963, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., before he was assassinated, threw down the gauntlet on this country. And he said that militarism, not good. Materialism, not good. Racism, not good. Poverty, not good. Come on, somebody. So these same folks, these same people are talking about being practical and, oh, don't hurt the feelings of the billionaires in this country. They got another thing coming. We need somebody who's willing to stand up for the workaday people of this nation, and his name is Bernie Sanders. So it's time, New Hampshire, for these elected officials to pick a side. Now, either you are on the side of the people or you are not. Either you believe in equality and justice or you do not. Either you are willing to stand up or you do not. Senator Bernie Sanders is somebody that understands that Wall Street doesn't need a cheerleader. Hello, somebody. And when they want to talk about what's practical, for all the money that we put inside the military budget, we can use some of that and put it on the domestic side. Hello, somebody. We need somebody that understands that cash bail out the door. No more of that in this country. Reform. We need somebody who understands that we must legalize marijuana in the United States. Hello, somebody. And not only will we legalize marijuana, but we will expunge records in this country. Hello, somebody. We are going to do what is necessary to lift up the people in this nation who have been long forgotten. And so we don't need folks that's hedging and having fundraisers in wine caves with Swarovski crystals for the billionaire class. Hello, somebody. Either you are on the side of the people or you are not. Either you believe in Medicare for all or you do not. Either you believe in college for all or you do not. Either you believe in canceling student debt or you do not. Either you believe in canceling medical debt or you do not. Either you believe that the working day people of this nation deserve to live a good life or you do not. What side are you on? Whose side are you on? Senator Bernie Sanders is on the side of the people. So we need you, New Hampshire, to show up and to show out. We have the opportunity to have full transcendence in this nation. And as Senator Sanders understands that this is not about me, this is about us, or in the words of Helen Keller, alone we can do very little. But together we can do so much. That this is a multi-generational, multi-gender, multi-racial, multicultural movement of ordinary people. And when ordinary people put a little extra on their ordinary, extraordinary things begin to happen. We are going to do this, New Hampshire. Hello, somebody. So we need you. Now, young folks in here, and youngish folks, because I don't want to leave out nobody, but the young folks and the youngish. Young people, we need you to come out. Now, some of these folks are doubting that you're going to come out and vote. We're going to show them. You know, my grandmother used to always say, I can show you better than I can tell you. Hello, somebody. And we are going to show them. So I need you to do something for me. Can you lift one hand for yourself? Dr. Maya Angelou once said, have the courage to stand up for yourself and then the courage to stand up for somebody else. Can you lift a hand for somebody else? And with both of those hands up in the air, I want you to reimagine. I want you to imagine better positioning for the everyday people of this nation than what they have right now. I want you to imagine having a champion in the White House who doesn't sell out and doesn't equivocate. I want you to imagine us having Medicare for all, college for all, canceling student debt, canceling medical debt. With these hands, baby, we will be able to do this. With these hands. With these hands. With these hands. With these hands. We will elect Senator Bernard Sanders, the next president of the United States of America. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody.
Please give a warm welcome to Cynthia Nixon.
Hello, New Hampshire. It is such a privilege to be here. I'm here because I'm all in for Bernie Sanders. And it took me a while to get here, but I'm here. And I'm here. My feet aren't just wet, I'm all in, my whole body. I I just came from Nevada earlier this week. I cannot tell you what I saw there. I cannot tell you the organization and the fervor. And I cannot wait for that Nevada caucus, but I tell you, what I really can't wait for is tomorrow. Because it's up to you in New Hampshire to show us who our next president is going to be. 4 years ago, I supported Hillary Clinton for president. And I loved what Bernie was saying. He dazzled me, but I thought, wow, it would be great if the world would be like that. But I'm going to go with something that I think is safe and secure and that is going to get us there and is going to make sure that Donald Trump is not our next president. But I tell you, the world has changed enormously in the last 4 years. And yes, it has changed because of what Donald Trump has done to this country and has brought out in this country. But it has changed in my mind because of what Bernie Sanders has shown is possible in this country. 4 years ago, when he was speaking about Medicare for all, when he was speaking about free college for all, when he was speaking about a $15 minimum wage, when he was speaking about taking on Wall Street, it seemed like a resistance candidate position, and I admired him for it. But what he has done is taken what used to be the far left of the Democratic Party and put it dead center. And the debates we are having now, make no mistake about it, we are having those things, we are discussing those things, and those things are finally on the table because of Bernie Sanders and his movement and his lifelong commitment to them. And I watch all those candidates up on that debate stage. Some I like more, some I like less. But I tell you, everything that they're discussing and everything that they are trying to position themselves as is because of Bernie Sanders, because he is setting the terms of the debate. And I have to tell you that because of Bernie Sanders and because of what he has spent his life doing and how he has changed this country in the last 4 years, he has taught me and he has taught us as a country what we can ask for. We have made do with crumbs for so long. And Bernie has said, hey, we're starving in this country. We can't subsist on these crumbs anymore. Why can't we demand the whole pie? And that's what we're doing, and that's what we're going to get when Bernie Sanders is our next president. And I tell you, there's a lot of candidates in this race still on the Democratic side, and I think it's confusing for people. And I talk to people, I walk around, I say, who are you supporting? They give me different, opinions that sometimes surprise me. And I listen to what they have to say. And then I say, what about Bernie? And they say, oh, Bernie, well, that would be great. But I worry my coworker, I worry my boss, I worry my neighbor is not going to vote for him, that he's too far out, he's too radical. I worry that we have to find somebody that everybody on all sides of the aisle is going to vote for. And that's a mirage in the desert. You find somebody who everybody is going to go for, and what you're putting forward is somebody that nobody is going to bother to turn out to vote for because nobody is going to think it makes enough of a difference. Tell your friends, stop worrying about who other people are going to vote for. Who do you want to vote for? Whose America do you want to live in? The other thing about Bernie is not just that he's going to be able to break the stranglehold that corporations and the super rich and millionaires and billionaires have on this country and this electoral process. He is, hands down, the best chance that we have to defeat Donald Trump. And don't let anybody tell you different. Donald Trump, and maybe we didn't realize this 4 years ago, but we realize it now. Donald Trump is a formidable foe, and we cannot ever, ever underestimate him. And we cannot get him unelected by somebody who kind of checks a lot of boxes and sounds good on paper. We have to pick someone to go up against him who can respond exactly. Donald Trump got elected by speaking to poor people in this country who are suffering. And he lied to them about that he cared about them, and he lied to them about what he was going to do for them, and he wrapped it in white supremacy and racism. And he was elected by dividing us and bringing out our worst, most fearful instincts. Bernie Sanders is the only person who is fully acknowledging how off the track this country is and how much people are suffering and how we can't just make a few little tweaks here and there. We have to turn the system upside down. And that's what Bernie is going to do. And Bernie is going to be elected if we turn out. And particularly if young people turn out. I have to say a lot of what enabled me to get here was my kids. Not just the thought of them and their future and this country and this planet, but my kids and the clarity with which they saw who we should be supporting and what we want for our country. So, as myself, as a mother, as an LGBT person, as a person who cares about this country and about this planet, I am here to say, tomorrow is the day, New Hampshire. Tomorrow is the day. And if you want Bernie, and if you are in for Bernie, we don't have any more time to waste. We can't do it next week. We can't do it next month. We certainly can't do it next year. Get on the phone, knock on those doors, take to the streets, make sure that everybody turns out, because when people turn out in great numbers, that's when we win. Bernie has a big, beautiful, broad tent, and it includes everybody, from young women in headscarves to old men in overalls and everybody in between. So, New Hampshire, the world is watching. Come out tomorrow. Come out for Bernie. Bernie is the candidate who not only has charted the future with his mind, he is the candidate who has charted the future with his heart, and when he speaks, all of our hearts open. I would like to now introduce, he's here, right? The next Democratic nominee and the next President of the United States, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Power to the people. for coming out. Let me begin by introducing you to the next First Lady of the United States of America, Jane Sanders.
Hello, New Hampshire.
Let me thank Samantha Valente. Let me thank Eleanor Gagne, Brianna Gilman. Let me thank Senator Nina Turner. And let me thank Cynthia Nixon. You know, there are a lot of well-known entertainers out there, but not so many of them are prepared to put their names and their reputations on the line to fight for justice. And I very much appreciate all of the work that Cynthia has done and appreciate so much the support she is giving our campaign. Cynthia Nixon, thanks so much. It's going to be a busy day. It's the last day before the first primary of the 2020 election cycle. So today we started off in Manchester, we're going to Nashua, we're going to Salem later, and then we're going to end up with what I think will be the largest event for the Democratic primary process tonight in Durham. So I thank all of you for being out here today in this crucial moment in American history. And I want to begin by telling you that our campaign is off to a great start. Now, all of you are aware that they have a little bit of problems counting the votes in Iowa. I think they're still counting the votes in Iowa. But at the end of the day, what we know is we won the popular vote by 6,000 votes. We won what they call the realignment vote by 2,500 votes. And the reason we did so well in Iowa, and I believe that we're going to do so well here in New Hampshire, is not because of our TV ads, not because of our radio ads. It's because we have thousands of people knocking on doors. And all of you who are volunteering in the campaign, I want to thank you so much. We have done something extraordinary. On Saturday, I am told by our campaign director, if you can believe it, in one day, we knocked on 20% of the doors in the state of New Hampshire. That's pretty good. And I want to thank the people of New Hampshire for helping to change politics in America. 4 years ago, when I came to New Hampshire, I had a series of proposals that the political establishment said was very radical, too extreme. Media establishment said was too extreme. The corporate establishment said was too extreme. Nobody believes in what Bernie is talking about. Well, it turns out that the people of New Hampshire did, and because you stood up for justice, we won 22 states last time around and helped transform the conversation of where America should be going. So I thank New Hampshire very much. Four years ago, I came to New Hampshire and I said, you know what? If you work 40 hours a week, you shouldn't be living in poverty. We got to raise the minimum wage to a living wage of $15 an hour. 4 years ago, that was a radical idea. You know what's happened since? 7 states have raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour. So has the U.S. House of Representatives. New Hampshire, thank you for getting that ball rolling. 4 years ago, I came here and I said, you know what? We got to rethink education and higher education in America. There is something wrong when in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, hundreds of thousands of bright young people cannot afford to go to college, and many others, by the millions, are leaving school deeply in debt. Something wrong with that. Well, what's happened since is all over the country, in states and cities and in counties, there is a significant movement forward to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And when we are in the White House together, it's going to be a big room there. We're going to bring you all in. That Oval Office got to squeeze a little bit like here. What we are going to do is not only make public colleges and universities tuition free so that all of our kids, now I want you to understand what that means. It's not only relevant to those who are in college, it is relevant to the kids who are in the 5th and 6th grade today. Because you got kids all over this country, and I grew up in a working class family, we didn't have a lot of money. But the word has got to go out to parents and kids that if you do well in school, in elementary school, in high school, no matter what your income is, you are going to be able to get a higher education. If you want to go to college, it'll be college. If you want to go to trade school, it'll be trade school. But we will make public colleges and universities tuition free. We will greatly expand Pell Grants so that people in private schools, we will expand work-study programs. And I'll tell you something else that we're going to do. And I want you to think big about this one. When the rulers of the universe, you know who the rulers of the universe are? Those are the big money interests who think they got it all. It's Wall Street and all these guys. They are the rulers of the universe. When they want something, they get it. 12 years ago, when the crooks on Wall Street destroyed our economy, they went to the Congress and they said, oh, please, yes, we lied, we cheated, we stole, we acted illegally, but you got to bail us out. And Congress, against my vote, bailed them out. And then 2 years ago, the billionaires who control the political process in America said, hey, we're only worth $3 billion. I mean, how can you get by on a few $1 billion nowadays? We need a tax break. And Donald Trump and his friends said, yep, my God, how can you get by? I mean, price of food going up. How do you get by on $2-3 billion of wealth? So 2 or 3 years ago, Trump and his friends gave the 1% billionaires and large profitable corporations $1 trillion in tax breaks. $1 trillion in tax breaks. Anybody here know how much Amazon made? Over $10 billion last year? How much they paid in taxes? Anybody here know? Smart group of people. They paid zero. Okay? That's what Donald Trump gave the wealthiest guy in America who happens to own Amazon. So, point that I'm making here is if Congress can give huge tax breaks to billionaires and large corporations, you know what else Congress can do? We can cancel all student debt in America. And we're going to do that through a modest tax on Wall Street speculation. We bailed out Wall Street 12 years ago. It's Wall Street's turn to help the working class of this country. Now, what our campaign is about is thinking big and not small. And that means asking yourselves hard questions that you're not going to see on television or hear from Congress. All right? So here's the question I want you all to think about. Everybody in this room, everybody in America at one point or another in your life is going to access the healthcare system. We all need healthcare. Why is it, my friends, that we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee healthcare to all people? I want you to think about it. Our neighbors to the north, border on New Hampshire, border on Vermont and Canada, they have had universal health care for decades. That means anybody in that country goes to any doctor they want. If they get sick and they end up in the hospital, they come out. You know what the bill is when you come out of the hospital for a month in Canada? Anyone know? Zero. Okay. And meanwhile, after they provide quality care to all of their people, turns out they are paying 1/2 as much per person for health care as we are. In other words, we are paying by far more money for health care per person. We're paying $11,000 for every man, woman, and child for health care. And yet, we have 87 million Americans who have no health insurance or who are underinsured. We have 30,000 people a year who die because they don't get to a doctor on time. We are paying by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. In some cases, we're paying 10 times more than the Canadians and people around the world for the same exact medicine. And what is also unbelievable and immoral and a disgrace, and that is in America, some 500,000 people a year go bankrupt because of medically related debt. That means that I want you to think about it. Just take a deep breath and think about it. It means that in this country, through no fault of your own, if you are dealing with cancer, you are dealing with heart disease, you're dealing with Alzheimer's or some terrible illness, not only do you have to cope with the illness, you got to worry about whether or not you go bankrupt because you can't pay that $100,000 bill. That is not what America is supposed to be about. Meanwhile, while so many of our people are uninsured or underinsured, last year the healthcare industry made $100 billion in profit. Drug companies made huge profits. So what we are here today to say to the healthcare industry, the function of a humane and rational healthcare system is to provide health care to all of our people, not a system in which drug companies and insurance companies make huge profits. And that is why in the first week of our administration, we will introduce and we will pass a Medicare for All single-payer program. Now, what does that mean? Now, you're going to hear a lot of lies and misinformation about Medicare for All because the people who control the healthcare system, they think the system is great. Profits for the insurance companies soaring, drug companies making billions over billions, they're doing great. They will fight us tooth and nail. So what does a Medicare for All single-payer program mean? What it means is we eliminate all premiums in America. Right now, you're paying $1,000 a month, $500 a month, $1,700, no more. Not you or your employer, by the way. No more co-payments, so that when you walk into the doctor's office, you don't have to worry about that $50 or the $100. That's gone. And we're going to eliminate one of the most absurd concepts that I have ever heard of. We take it for granted, but it is totally absurd. That is the concept of a deductible. You all know what a deductible is? You would think that if you pay a lot of money for insurance, you pay up, okay, you paid too much, you're not happy about it, but you go to the doctor when you want. Wrong. You got a $5,000 deductible, you got a $10,000 deductible, you got to take huge amounts of money out of your own pocket before you can walk into the doctor's office. We eliminate all deductibles. We eliminate all out-of-pocket expenses. Now, these are not radical ideas. I know some people think, oh my God, how did he think of all these? This is what goes on all over the world. And furthermore, because we are going to take on the greed and the corruption of the pharmaceutical industry, an industry that not only engages in price gouging, charging us any price they can get away with, they are also involved in price fixing and collusion. They ain't going to get away with that anymore. Their time is running out. And when we lower drug prices in America, so they're not any higher than the prices they charge around the world, under Medicare for All, nobody in America will be forced to pay more than $200 a year for prescription drugs. Now, people say, Medicare for all is going to be so disruptive. It's such a radical idea. Oh, my goodness. Actually, it is the least disruptive approach to moving toward universal health care. This is what we're doing. Now, Medicare is a good program. It is not good enough. Under our Medicare for all, we're going to expand Medicare to cover dental care, hearing aids, eyeglasses. You know what else we're going to do, folks? There are a whole lot of people in this country today who are forced, when they're old or they have severe disabilities, are forced out of their homes into nursing homes. They would rather stay home. Under Medicare for all, we will fund home health care. You want to stay home, you will be able to do so. That is the right thing to do, and by the way, it saves us substantial sums of money. So what we do under Medicare for all, we expand benefits. First year, we go from 65, which is the eligibility age now, down to 55, down to 45 the next year, down to 35. Everybody is in. You got a card. You go to any doctor you want. You like the doctor you're going to now? You stay with the doctor. You want to go to the hospital? You go to the hospital. We fund it through a progressive tax system, which will end up costing the average American substantially less than that family is paying. Right now, people say, how are you going to fund Medicare for all? You know how we fund health care today? The median family income in America is $60,000 a year. That family, right in the middle of the economy, is paying $12,000 a year for health care. The employer is paying $14,000 a year. We are going to lower the cost of health care for both very, very substantially. Now, there's another issue that we cannot run away from. One of the problems with politics in America is there is a tendency to run away from the difficult issues. We are not going to do that. We have a president of the United States who is an embarrassment in so many respects, but he is an embarrassment not only to our country, but to the world in terms of his refusal to acknowledge the reality of climate change. So, Donald Trump, in case you are watching, how are you? And I want you to know that climate change is not a hoax. It is a dangerous reality. And unlike the Trump administration, our administration will listen to the scientists. And what the scientists are telling us is that not only is climate change real, they have underestimated the degree and the severity in which it is ravaging this country and the planet. Polar ice caps melting at a faster rate, ocean warming at a faster rate, drought getting worse, extreme weather disturbances getting worse. And what the United Nations is telling us is that if we don't get our act together by the end of the century, there will be hundreds of millions of climate refugees, people unable to stay in their own communities because there's no clean drinking water, there is no land to grow their crops. You want to know what climate change is doing to the planet? Turn on television and see what's going on in Australia right now, where that country is burning. Remember what happened in California with an unprecedented level of fires. What we will do under our administration is adopt the basic principles of the Green New Deal. We will transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. We will create up to 20 million good-paying union jobs. And I'll tell you what else we are going to do. Because climate change is not an American issue. Climate change is a global issue. We will lead the world, and I will be reaching out to countries all over the world, countries like China, India, Pakistan, Brazil, countries all over the world and make the case that we are in this together. It's not an American issue, not a Russian issue, not a Chinese issue. We are all going to suffer from climate change. And maybe, just maybe, instead of spending $1.8 trillion a year on weapons of destruction globally, maybe we should pool our resources and fight our common enemy, which is climate change. Our administration will tackle another very difficult issue, but an issue that needs to be tackled. And that is the fact that we have a broken and racist criminal justice system. We must not continue living in a country which has more people in jail, disproportionately African American, Latino, and Native American, more people in jail than the peoples of any other country on earth. So what we are going to do is invest in our young people, making sure that our kids get the job training and the education they need. We're going to invest in our young people, not in more jails and incarceration. We're going to end private prisons and detention centers. We are going to end the war on drugs and legalize marijuana in every state in this country. We are going to expunge the records of those arrested for possession of marijuana. Now, what Donald Trump is about, and it's a pretty ugly business, what he is about as president is trying to divide the American people up. That's what he does. He's trying to divide us up based on the color of our skin, or where we were born, or our sexual orientation, or our religion, or even our gender. And one of the groups that he is targeting most are the undocumented in this country. Well, as the son of an immigrant, my father came to this country from Poland with not a nickel in his pocket, no education. I understand a little bit about the immigrant experience. My view is that instead of demonizing the undocumented, we're going to go forward and pass comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. We are going to end border policies which allow federal agents to snatch babies from the arms of their mothers and throw children into cages. That's not going to happen on our watch. And on my first day in office, I will sign an executive order undoing all of the racist executive orders on immigration signed by Donald Trump. And that means, among many other things, restoring the legal status of the 1.8 million young people eligible for the DACA program. Now, in Washington, I think the reason that a lot of people are disillusioned with what goes on in Washington is they look around them and people share common beliefs. We're not quite as divided as some would think we are. And in one issue in particular, there has been a coming together of people from rural states like Vermont and New Hampshire and urban communities like Chicago and New York City. People who are gun owners and people who are not gun owners. People have seen over the last several decades with horror and disgust mass shootings and gun violence in America, and the American people want action. And they look to Washington and they say, why aren't you doing anything? And the answer is pretty simple, is the American people want strong gun safety legislation, but the NRA does not. And the NRA has intimidated Trump and intimidated the Republican leadership. The NRA will not intimidate me. We will do what the American people want. And what the American people want are universal background checks. If you have a history of violence, domestic violence, whatever it may be, you know what? You should not own a gun. We're going to eliminate the gun show loopholes, which allow people to legally buy guns. We're going to eliminate the straw man provision. And we're going to do something that the American people now want also, and that is to end the sale and distribution of assault weapons in this country. Now, there is a lot of hypocrisy. I know I won't shock you when I tell you there's a lot of hypocrisy in Washington. I know you're shocked to hear that. And one of the greatest examples of hypocrisy that I know is we have a lot of Republican senators and congressmen going up on the floor and they're saying, we believe in small government. We believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people. Well, I say to those hypocrites, if you believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people, understand that it is women who have the right to control their own bodies, not the government. So my promise to you is that I will never nominate anybody to the Supreme Court or the federal bench who is not 100% pro Roe v. Wade. We will codify Roe v. Wade. We'll put that into law. We will greatly expand funding for Planned Parenthood. So, my friends, here we are in Rindge, and tomorrow there is the first primary in the 2020 election process. And not only is the whole country looking at New Hampshire tomorrow, but the world is looking at New Hampshire. What is New Hampshire going to do? So I am here to humbly ask for your support. I am here to ask you to bring out your friends, your family, your co-workers to vote tomorrow. I'm asking you to try to create the largest voter turnout in the history of the New Hampshire primary. And I'm asking you to do that for two reasons. Tomorrow could begin the end of Donald Trump. If we win here in New Hampshire, after winning in Iowa, I think we got a great chance to win in Nevada. I think we have a strong shot in South Carolina and California and the states that follow. So if we win here tomorrow, I think we got a path to victory for the Democratic nomination. And when we win the Democratic nomination and when we put together the strongest grassroots political movement this country has ever seen, we're going to defeat Donald Trump. But we are going to do more than defeat Donald Trump. What we are going to do is begin the process of transforming this country. We are prepared with your help to take on the greed of Wall Street, the insurance companies, the drug companies, the fossil fuel industry, the military-industrial complex, the prison industrial complex, and the entire 1%. With your help, we are prepared not only to defeat Trump, but but to create an economy and a government that works for all of us, not just the 1%. Thank you all very much.